All right. Good afternoon and welcome to all to Runner Walk and Talk. A happy new year to all of you. And I hope that all of you have had a very strong CSUB start. So just a reminder that Runner Walk and Talk is recorded, and a few updates to share with you from the president's office before we prioritize student questions. So I'm glad we're not out walking in person today because the weather is indeed very wintry and stormy. So I'm glad we have this option, which we've really strengthened because so many of you are joining us. Let me just share with you about some decisions that have been made by some of our officials. First, I'll start with our governor. I want to share that the governor's budget that he proposed for the CSU is actually better than we expected, and we are grateful to the governor for his proposal. I will say, though, I want to be always transparent with our community. We will still need to be frugal and now and through the coming year, and we'll still need to use our reserves just to make it through our basic operational needs. And just so you know, we are still officially in the CSU on a hiring freeze, but we do have Advocacy Week next week, and we'll be talking to our elected officials. And again, we'll share our gratitude, and we'll also be advocating for additional funding to support all of you. Let me also say, such a great start for our new Chancellor, Joseph Castro. And I was just so impressed with his outstanding leadership. And also to share with you good news that the decision has been made by the Chancellor that given the governor's very, again, promising budget, that there will be no increases in CSU student tuition. It's off the table for 21-22. And I know that's really good news to all of our students. And we're very excited to support Chancellor Castro on this decision. Also want to let you know that the CSU has received additional CARES funding to benefit our students and our university. I will say we are still awaiting guidance on the details, which are slightly different from the first round of our CARES funding. And so we'll get that guidance, and we're moving very quickly. Our team is already meeting, our CARES team that will again come forward. Dr. Dwayne Cantrell, thank you so much for your leadership. He will be working to bring from the CARES team recommendations about the amounts of money that will be going to students and the timing that you can expect. I will say, students, those of you that were with us in spring, you can expect a comparable check to what you received in the spring for that CARES funding. But we will again get back to you on the details. Do stay tuned on those communications. And we expect that we'll be able to get checks to you probably around the end of February. So thank you for your patience so that we can do this right and get maximum amounts of support to you in a fashion that's very efficient. I also want to share with you that the CSU is still planning on a fall 2021, primarily face-to-face. Academic Affairs has really been taking the lead, working with the faculty on our classes. And we also have our campus preparedness team, which is pretty much in the detail work of thinking about vaccines right now, but they will be working alongside Academic Affairs on all of the logistics about how we'll phase back into a reimagined campus in fall of 2021. And we will keep you updated on the work of those plans. We will need to be nimble. We do know that right now we are seeing challenges with the vaccinations, and we're going to remain optimistic, and we'll let you know that we'll remain nimble, but CSUB is doing its share. Let me just share with you that we are applying as a university for state certification to be a vaccine distribution site. Now, this requires a pretty in-depth state application. It requires special kinds of insurance, and it also requires training from our staff. So again, you see, we do have our heart in the right places, and we will have to check all of those boxes so that we can be a certified vaccine distribution site. Now, I want you to also realize that this will take a commitment on our human resources and our staffing for making sure that there are appointments, for the vaccine distribution, and we will be following the state's guidelines on the various tiers that are allowed a vaccine at certain times. But more on this in the coming weeks. Again, this is a multiple week process just for the certification. So we will be getting back with you about our status on this. It is promising news to learn today that Blue Shield has now taken state responsibility on vaccines. And we hope that this will be a less confusing and a more efficient way to vaccinate the state of California, and in particular, those of us in Kern County. Now, I do want to encourage all of you, when you have that opportunity to get vaccinated, we do want to encourage you to take advantage of that option. And I want to also share that we will be also working so that we can make sure that we have a full range of support for our CSUB family. It's not only our hopeful application to be a state certified vaccination distribution center, but we'll also be working on trying to support especially those students that are on campus and those staff members that are required to be on campus, either for teaching those hybrid courses or for making sure that our campus is operating during its virtual capacity. We'll try to also bring to you a plan so that we can have at least some opportunity for you to get testing if you are needed on campus and residing on campus. Again, more on this in the month, and we will again be sharing those details with you about those opportunities. I want to really appreciate the faculty and the staff who, you need to know, students have been working extra hard so that you could get a very good, strong start. I want you to remember that IT is here. You see Faust. He's here with his team to help with your technology needs. I want to remind you that those laptops, those hotspots are available to you. And again, we'll put those contacts for you in the chat if you're having any difficulty with IT needs. Also know that our resources are still open on campus. I have heard from the food pantry that some of you are picking up your books in person and not realizing that the food pantry has been open and available to you throughout the pandemic, and it will continue to be available to you. So do, again, get very educated on your resources. I'm super excited that ASI and the Office of Diversity and Inclusion will continue the community conversation. Students, this idea came from you, and this is an idea that helps us to continue to have conversations and address equity issues and racial injustice. So keep those ideas coming, and we're really excited to have those continuing conversations throughout the year. We're delighted that we will be launching here in just an hour our diversity strategic plan, and the work will begin from the ground up. We'll be beginning to work with data and with listening from our campus community about our action plan related to diversity. So again, thanks to Claudia Catota for her leadership on this, and I'll be charging that committee today. So more to come on the good news of the work of our diversity strategic planning committee. I'm so happy to also share that the Kegley Ethics Institute will sponsor Ibram X. Kendi, author of How to Be an Anti-Racist, and that will be in April. That's an amazing opportunity for all of us. And as you know, the Cabinet and ASI have read his work, and again, we're really happy to welcome him to CSUB in the spring. The Cabinet is also reading, as you know, we have common reads, and we kick off the beginning of the year always with our cabinet retreats. We're reading right now Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. So I also encourage you in your downtime to also look at that book, which has been highly rated and also is a recommended book by Oprah. New to our cabinet is Ronnie Gomez. Ronnie, if you're with us here, we'd like for you to give us a wave. This is our new CSUB General Counsel. And before I say a word about Ronnie, I do want to thank Kelly Bendel. As you know, Kelly just stepped in so student-centric as our interim general counsel, and we were so happy to have her supporting us during this temporary time. But Ronnie Gomez comes to us. He is a graduate of the University of California at San Diego, has a history degree. He is also a law school graduate at the University of Texas. He comes from a highly prestigious law firm where he's a litigator in Los Angeles. And we're so happy to have him join our CSUB cabinet and our CSUB family. So Ronnie, I'm going to have you give us a wave. And thanks for being with us today. I'm happy to give the floor for a moment to our ASI president, Vanessa Chica. And I want to thank her for always being by my side in the work that we do in shared governance and in collaboration. She has some really important updates for you students today. So I'd like to turn the floor to her for just a minute or two before I have Faust help with the questions. So President Vanessa, thanks for sharing with our students.
Thank you, Dr. Zelezny. I just wanted to start off by welcoming all of our new students that may be on the call and also welcoming any returning students. It is such a pleasure to have the opportunity once again to serve you this semester. I also wanted to start by sharing that ASI continues to be an essential service. And so what this means is that somebody is in the ASI office and we are also answering emails, answering your phone calls. So if you have any questions throughout the semester and you may not know who to contact, you can always contact ASI and we can connect you to resources on our campus. Some exciting updates is that ASI is also currently accepting applications for some of our open positions. And so if you've ever wanted to be a member of ASI and serve your fellow students, this is a really great opportunity. Some of the open positions that we have is Vice President of Campus Life, Director of Student Athlete Engagement, Director of Transfer Students, and Director of International Relations. So I will go ahead and leave some information in the chat when I'm done and a link to the application. Also, some really exciting news is that ASI Elections is gearing up. And so applications open on February 8th and will close March 15th. So if you are interested in being a part of the next generation of leaders on our campus, this is a really great opportunity. And so during this period, ASI will have 5 weeks of programming to really prepare our candidates and to also get students excited about elections. So please be on the lookout for that as well. We will have an elections calendar coming out soon. I also wanted to say that Takeout Tuesday is still an event that ASI is consistently doing. And this is a really great event because it allows ASI to sponsor meals for our students, which we know is really important during these tough times, while also supporting our local businesses. And so this is also a really great opportunity for ASI to ask our students questions and to gather student feedback. And all of the student feedback, all of your voices are really heard. And this guides our work as ASI throughout our advocacy that we are going to be doing. So please make sure to check your emails. We generally hold these events on a bi-weekly basis and emails go out Fridays at 5 p.m. And then last but not least, I wanted to share that ASI will be collaborating with Leah Banks, the Counseling Center and Student Health Services throughout the semester to put on COVID-19 wellness chats. And I know that this is an extremely important topic. I have heard from students and from faculty about how devastating COVID-19 has been, not only on our physical health, but on our mental health as well. And so I think this is going to be a really great opportunity to kind of come together and hopefully this sheds some light and brings us together during these tough times. So please mark your calendars. The first event will be Wednesday, February 3rd, which is next week at 12 p.m. during ASI Runner Hour. So with that being said, I am so honored to, again, have the opportunity to update you guys. And I will leave some information in the chat and I'm always here. So thank you.
Thank you so much, President Vanessa. Runners, you are so lucky to have such an extraordinary ASI president who cares so much. And I want to thank ASI, Ilaria, your leadership, as well as the entire leadership team for all the work that you've been doing to support our students, and they can really feel it. With that, students, this time is primarily yours, and we always prioritize student questions, and I always ask Faust Gorham from IT if he will help me with those questions. And I see one already coming in the chat, and I'm going to address commencements. But here's how you can ask a question. You can either raise your hand and Faust will again identify you, or you can put your question in the chat. But Faust, I'm going to turn it over to you so that you can help with the coordination of this. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, President. And good afternoon, everyone. Please remember that the raise hand function has moved to the reactions button down in the bottom toolbar. So if you want to raise your hand that way, you can, or just type it in the chat. So Thomas, let me get to you so you can ask your question. Please go ahead and unmute.
Hello.
Hi, Thomas.
Hi.
I'm so glad you're joining us. You have a great
I finally figured out how to do it with Zoom because we use Microsoft, but I was able to figure it out.
How about that? Because you are CSUB. You are terrific.
Yes. So do I ask now or?
Please.
Okay. The commencement, I understand about COVID and all. Do you guys, any updates on the plans to do makeup commencements for the 2020 graduates?
Indeed. So I'm going to turn the question over to our provost, who is on our commencement committee, as is President Vanessa and some others of you. And we've been working on a plan. Again, we'll have to be nimble. But Provost Harper, would you like to share what you're working on?
Sure, absolutely. And so we value our students so deeply, and we appreciate their patience through the pandemic. What we're looking at right now, as the president has said throughout, we're looking at in-person ceremonies. We don't have a refined date yet, but we are looking at the fall. We are looking at a series of ceremonies to catch up all of the past ceremonies. So that would be spring 2020, fall 2020 as well. And then we're currently waiting for more guidance as to whether there will be what type of ceremony or commencement could be possible for the spring 2021. So we're looking for all of those catch-up ceremonies. We're looking at the fall very intensely right now, and there'll be more details to come.
Thank you for the great question. We're working hard behind the scenes to make sure that we have a grand celebration for those of you that have worked so hard to get to graduation. Let's go to other students. Thank you, Thomas. And Faust, what other student questions do we have?
No other student questions at this time, President, although there was one that came in via Facebook, which is why are there costs for Bank Mobile? And I know that's definitely something that several students have asked for. So I did see Julie Oberle's here, if I can have her answer.
Thank you, Julie.
Hi, there are not fees for Bank Mobile unless you open up a Bank Mobile Vibe checking account. Bank Mobile charges a $2.99 per month maintenance fee, as do most banks for a checking account. But there are not fees for receiving a refund to an existing bank account or via mail check.
Thank you. Kyle, go ahead, please. Unmute.
Hi, Kyle.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I can't complain. I'm off to a good start, thankfully.
Glad you're joining us.
Thank you. I'm here on behalf of SQE here at CSUB. I'm one of two interns. My fellow co-intern, she'll be here shortly. But I had, maybe it can be broken down into two questions. It's regarding laptops and hotspots.
Great.
I know that last year, obviously, we were kind of all thrown into the situation, and preparedness was more so reactionary. But this semester going forward, since we do have a plan, are there any measures in place to expand resources for our students? I know that you said that resources are available, but are they prioritized for expansion in any type of way? And to that effect, regarding return policies and damages, has that been addressed or amended? Because, I'm sorry. I would assume that there are students that are working side by side with their spouse or children, and accidents may occur since everybody is at home. And I don't necessarily think that students should be held to the same standards as they would in a normal situation if accidents minor accidents do occur with some of the hardware, whether it be like a spill or anything like that. So I was just curious in those two rights, what's our plan, or what is the plan going forward?
Thank you. Kyle, thanks so much. Kyle, I also want to thank you for representing students with quality education. Thank you for speaking at the Board of Trustees. And you're asking a very, very important question. I also want to let you know that with SQE, we always like to find an appointment with president and the cabinet. So let's do that this semester virtually. But I do know that you've asked a very important question that I'm going to refer to our Associate Vice President of Technology, Faust Gorham. If you'd help give us some detailed information, Faust, related to Kyle's question, please.
Absolutely. First of all, and the easier question is the hotspot. So yes, we are planning to continue the hotspot, loaner package and expand it as necessary or as required by our students. As you know, that is kind of a low cost monthly fee that we pay for unlimited hotspot access. So all they need to do is email the service center. I kind of put that in, but I will put that again into the chat and request a hotspot. If a person stops becoming a student, that's the only time we request that device be returned back. At this point, same thing with a laptop. In addition, for the laptops that we have available, Rich Nelson, who is our Director of Support Services, was very forward-thinking in exactly that there might be accidents, spills, breaks, damages. And so we have a return function with the laptop so that in case there are damages, accidental damages, we can just swap that hardware out, send it back to the vendor, and we get a brand new one replaced. So that is all part of the program. For at least the next 4 years. But again, that hardware is only available for students. So if somebody stops becoming a student, we request that hardware be returned.
Thank you very much. Kyle, does that answer your question?
Somewhat. But in terms of expansion for resources, like I said, I understand that they're available. But in terms of if there isn't proper advertisement or solicitation to an expanded degree, how do we have students take full advantage of the resources? And in that, right, I would assume that there would be a growing demand, to which I would ask, are we looking to expand those resources proactively before we have to react to a certain situation, possibly in the fall? And then in terms of the return policy, in the same vein, I get that there's an existing one, but making amendments to it that specifically relate to COVID-19 and the pandemic that we're dealing with, I would argue that would give students an extra layer of comfort, knowing that this isn't a normal situation in any way.
Totally get it. Faust, do you have any follow-up on that? And then I'm going to have you and Kyle connect so that you can specifically hear his important, detailed recommendations for your consideration. But you probably have a follow-up.
I do. I just wanted to mention that communication went out to all students, and in fact, it happened on Tuesday. An email went out to all students informing them of the services that we have, including how to get hotspots, how to get laptops. And so again, that was a general email. We will follow that up with, at MidHub. I know our partners in ASI, Ilaria, Vanessa, and others are also very proactive on social media. So we're trying to hit every single angle. The president sent it out in her message. So we're trying to hit as many communication mediums as possible to get the word out. In regards to demand management, yes, we track that, and we're very proactive about both figuring out, do we need to buy more hardware, and if so, how? Right, because there is always a funding consideration, and that's something that we take before cabinet to discuss those questions. And so far, that has been, the demand has been met, and the funding has been allocated as necessary to support our students. So I think all that is there. I will put my email into the chat so you can contact me, or anyone can contact me directly, and I'd be happy to carry on that conversation, Kyle.
Thank you. And
perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Kyle, thank you. And I would appreciate if we could follow up to make sure that we are capturing all your recommendations and doing our best to be proactive. And it's certainly our intention to have those resources for our students. But I really do hear your great leadership. So I do want to make sure that you follow up with me as well if you continue to see that we're having issues.
Emily Guerrero, please unmute.
Hello, Emily.
Hello. Thank you for taking this time to, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My question is, will we have to be taking the COVID-19 vaccine in order to return to school?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's one that I know is being explored. What will be the requirements versus voluntary at the CSU level? So at this time, what I'm hearing is that it is voluntary at this time. But there will be I know further discussions about what will be the required vaccines for students. So we'll continue to keep you informed. At this time, I'm only hearing it's voluntary, but if I hear any new updates, and those are likely to come as the status of the vaccinations become more stable. And there are sort of blanket decisions about what's required for student vaccinations. So at this time, all I know is that it's being discussed and it is voluntary for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Emily. And other questions, students?
There is one from Damien. Let me unmute him.
Great.
Damien Lopez.
Hi, Damien.
Hi, President Zelezny. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Great to see you.
Great to see you as well. Glad to hear that you're well.
Thank
I
you.
wanted to ask about the repairs in the Doré Theater, if they've been completed, and if there's any damage to any other buildings on campus right now.
Well, that's a really good question, especially given the day that we have here. Provost Harper, maybe I'll have you start. Can you give us an assessment? I know that there are a number of projects that are happening in tandem on campus. Can you give us an update on the Doré?
Sure, and for everybody who's on the Zoom and not aware, we had a pretty significant water leak in the Doré several months ago that went into several areas. I went up and inspected the site myself. Obviously, at this point, the repairs have been made in terms of there is no more water leaking, but we're currently assessing the upgrades that are needed to make sure that it doesn't occur again.
Thanks so much. Damien, does that answer your question, or I can get somebody from facilities to add to that?
So the repairs have not been completed, right? Like it's just, is it still damaged? Like just as it's sitting currently?
If I may address that,
please.
Thank you. So we have made repairs to the pipe where the pipe was leaking. There is, as you know, the Doré is one of our older buildings, and we are working to take a look at a larger project where we repair or we replace all the chilled water and hot water lines within the Doré Theater, so that essentially we can stop leaks from continuing in that system. Those are about 40-year-old pipes.
So, Damien, stand by. We've got a larger project to be proactive on.
Will do. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I see a question from Uchechi. Uchechi, I hope you're well. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Good afternoon, Dr. Keck. Excuse me, Dr. Zelezny. I just came out from Dr. Keck's lecture. Nice
to see you. I'd love to hear your question.
I just recently started an internship with the CFA, Student for Quality Education internship, and so I'm excited because my job there is to advocate for students as a CSU intern. But I do have a question regarding parking. I know that's probably a question someone already asked, possibly, but I do have a specific question regarding that. I know last semester there were some students on campus that made use of the parking for Wi-Fi purposes, or if they had a class right after the one they had on campus. And I wanted to see what the protocol was regarding students if they simply needed Wi-Fi purposes being on campus, like in the parking lot. Would they still have to pay for parking during that allotted time? What was the protocol?
That's a really great question. And Uchechi, again, congratulations for your internship with CFA. And also supporting Kyle as Students for Quality Education. Let's see, maybe I can first go to Faust on the Wi-Fi access, and then Tom Davis, if you're on, if there's anything you wanted to add about parking fees at this time. So let's start with Faust.
Thank you, President. So starting on Monday, Lab A will be open again for any students that may have a conflict between their on-campus classes and any Zoom sessions that are available. Secondly, we still are offering the Wi-Fi signal out into the parking lots, but I also noticed that Marty's here, so perhaps Marty or Tom can answer the how long somebody can be in the parking lot before they need to get a permit. But that's still a capability, as well as Wi-Fi on campus in some open spaces, if that is more conducive, at the Runner Cafe in front of a DDH and other areas.
Okay, sounds good.
Really good question, and it's one I'm glad to hear. Tom Davis, are you on about parking fees? Where are we at on that?
Yes, I am on. We have reduced the parking fees. It's there's a reduced rate that you can find on the Student Financial Services website. If memory serves me right, it's about $40 or so for the entire semester. Mm-hmm. But if you choose, and that's prorated, so depending on if you wanted to pay starting the semester in January, it would be one price. If you paid in February, it would be a prorated reduced price for the rest of the semester. Or alternatively, we've reduced the pricing where it costs you $3 a day park. So if you only are coming onto campus, one day a week, you may opt to choose that option. I'm not sure if the chief's on the call or not. He could probably provide some insight to reaffirm what I just said, as well as his thoughts on the question the student had.
Chief, I'd welcome any input. Thank you.
Yes, the Vice President's correct. I'm going to test my memory. I believe we set it at $9 a month. And as he mentioned, that's for the whole month. We're trying to simplify it. It's a discounted rate due to the limited access to parking, and so therefore for the spring semester it will be a discounted rate along with the parking permit machines at $3 a day, as the Vice President mentioned. As far as your question in Lot D, we haven't necessarily addressed it, but I will tell you the intent is not to go out and challenge the students if they're there for a short time. The likelihood that they even get questioned would be less. You'll probably see officers drive through, but our parking enforcement will be there. But the intent is not to write every citation. We are bound by state guidelines and state law. We have to charge for parking and we have to be self-sufficient. So we had to do this in a sense to be compliant. But at the same time, through several meetings, we looked at the opportunity for us to look at a discounted rate to actually reflect the amount of services that we're giving, and at the same time, not impact anybody to any great extent as we move back to hopefully being back to full service, at which time we will then revert back to our annual rates that have been approved. So our annual rates aren't changing, but through the cabinet and the VP, we have offered the discounted rate for the spring semester. And then if this thing continues into the fall, I'm sure we will be looking at that also. I hope that helps.
It does. Thank you so much. And just to add a little bit to the question, I know Faust just mentioned that Computer Lab A would be open starting Monday. I know an email was sent out regarding the parking and the Wi-Fi and hotspots. Would another email be sent out to let students know regarding the Computer Lab being open?
We'll make sure that Jennifer Self puts that in our updates that come to students. And Faust, is there a communication plan about Lab A? Is a continuation of that opening?
Yes, President. There will be. What we do is we send that email out to the students who are part of the S2 group, the hybrid group on campus. That way, they know that resource is available. That's what the protocol we followed in fall, and we'll do that in spring. If we need a broader message, we can as well.
Okay, so students who only have classes on campus would have access to the library A, more or less.
We did not set that as a requirement, but that is kind of that is most where that overlap is just too tight for them to be able to make it to any other location, and we don't want to disadvantage them.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Uchechi, I look forward to you and Kyle. We'll make an appointment. If you'll send me a note, and we'll get a joint appointment with the two of you from SQE with our cabinet. And again, thank you for your service. Appreciate you.
Thank you. It was nice seeing you again. I hope your break was restful.
It was. Thank you so much, Uchechi. All right. Let's see.
Damian Lopez has another question.
You bet, Damian.
Hi. I wanted to ask about the IRA grant, and when can we expect a decision on that?
IRA grants, Provost, do you have any updates on IRAs, or can you point out someone who may?
I think Damien is referencing the IRA funds that are typically allocated. Most of them go to arts and humanities. The decision for the allocation of the IRA funds actually happens in student affairs. There's a student committee that's associated with that. I don't know the status of that particular committee in terms of whether they've made a decision, but typically we are getting those resources over in A&H about this time.
Dr. Zelezny, would you like me to answer that question?
I was going to say, I see Ilaria nodding her head, so she's got some updates. Please, Ilaria, thank you.
So, Damien, for the faculty who had a spring award last year, we have extended the IRA grant that they had, who were not able to do their programs because of COVID. And then a special application will be going out for spring programming, so faculty this semester can hold virtual experiential programs. So that'll be going out this week for faculty, and then the committee will shortly decide on those grants, and we'll be able to announce those to campus.
Many thanks. And students, this is your time, and you are prioritized. Please share your question either in the chat or raise your hand.
Kyle raised his hand.
Kyle, thank you.
Yeah, just really quick. Thank you again for allowing me to speak. In regards to the diversity committee, do we currently have any faculty or staff that are people of color or Black that are on this committee? And if not, is there an active approach to having said individuals on the committee?
Great question. We're kicking off that committee today. Claudia Katoda, can you address who was selected? And again, these are folks that have been nominated for this position. And Claudia, we'll open up the floor to you if you can share.
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Zelezny. We have two faculty members who were selected by Academic Senate. We have Chris Grappendorf from kinesiology and Dr. Tyler Ensorf, I believe, from psychology. We have our ASI graduate student director, who was nominated by ASI. We also have, I'm trying to think of off the top of my head here. We have a staff representative in Monica Grimes from Enrollment Management. We have MPP representative Chris Denise from Information Technology.
Kyle, these
were all, and these were all elected by their peers.
And we will be launching that committee today. And again, this is a committee that will be listening to the voices of our campus community, and we'll be working directly to put together our action plan.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you, Kyle. Ariane? Thank you. Ariane, you're on the committee as well as a student. We thank you for your leadership. And more information coming in, Kyle, from Ilaria. Would you like to share, Ilaria?
So Jaime Duran is the student from ASI who's going to be the student representative on the Diversity Strategic Planning Committee, and I'll put his email address in the chat. So if there's student questions about that committee, you can reach out to Jaime, and he can, and he'll be giving updates at our ASI meetings, which are on Friday at 3 o'clock. So you're more than welcome to join in our meetings to hear any updates that he shares.
Thank you for the transparency to the team that is working on behalf of the university, and thank you for accepting those nominations and being elected to the committee. It's an important one. Other questions, students?
Kyle, I see your hand still up. Go ahead. Oh.
No, I forgot to put it down. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. No problem. Students, this is your moment. We're happy that you're with us and happy that you're, again, seeking out, connecting with us. And we learn always from you, from your questions.
Please raise your hand or type your questions in the chat.
And Matthew, I'm happy to hear your question.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can, Matthew. Thanks. Nice to hear you.
Sorry. So this is my first semester at CSU. I finished in the fall at BC. So I'm just curious to know what your tuition looks like and the due dates for spring's tuition right now. And is there a deadline to pay this current semester right now? Or what's that time frame look like?
That's a great question. Let me see. Chad, who's the best person to answer that question? Oh, I see Julie volunteering, so I'm going to go to our wonderful Julie Oberles. Thank you, Julie.
Hi again, everybody. So fees are always due the Thursday before the official first day of the term. So technically, fees are late now, but because we are sensitive to the financial struggles some of our students are experiencing during COVID, we are not placing any penalties on students for late payment right now. We're not dropping students for non-pay this semester. We're not charging late fees. We're not requiring a formal payment plan. We're just asking students to pay what they can, as long as their balance is paid off by April, they should be fine. In April, we will resume our normal collection operations. So it would impact a student being able to get their diploma or being able to register for future semesters if their balance isn't paid off by April.
Okay, so then to follow up on your email, President, in regards to funding from the CARES Act, is that going to be allocated for this current term, or is that just looking for the fall, the new academic year?
Matthew, we are expecting we'll have funding out by the end of February. So, and again, what we're trying to do is just make sure we can give maximum amounts of funding to students. And Julie is on that team along with our financial aid director, Chad Morris. And so you should be receiving that before that April deadline.
Okay, so that's why I was just curious. Yeah. I didn't want to make a payment towards something if funds were going to be allocated for this current term. So you're saying that you're working out the logistics for this current term.
Right, that's right. So, I mean, that team has already met and are working right now on how much each student will be getting. And there's parameters about those students that have the greatest need. And yet last year, and this is what we're intending to do this year, is all students got something, full-time or part-time. So I hope I see Chad, our person that will know all the details here, and he's Director of Financial Aid. So Chad, want to add some details here to help out with this question? Thanks.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind you, Matthew, as well, just if you haven't yet, to fill out your FAFSA application for this current year. That's the 2021 financial aid year. And you can still, there's actually 2 applications open right now, that one and the one for 21-22, because you may have some resources there for you.
Yeah, so I wasn't anticipating that I was going to be done with BC this past fall because of everything. I was like, didn't think. So I submitted my FAFSA application already for this current year.
Okay.
And so this is like, I'm coming from a community college. This is my first time paying tuition. So I just didn't know how those costs look like. So I've already submitted all my applications for FAFSA and for everything. So now I have the remaining balance. So I just didn't know what your guys' time map look like for the due date. So I think Julie answered my question for sure for that. And I just didn't know if you guys were going to allocate any more funds and what the circumstances were, just like family contribution amounts. Were you be going off of that too, to really allocate who you're prioritizing on funds?
I can answer that, President Zelezny. Matthew, you're asking excellent questions. This is Tom Davis, Vice President, Business and Finance, and the Chief Financial Officer. First off, when we award you the monies in February, those monies are going to go directly to you, and they do not count towards your financial aid pursuant to the federal regulations. Now, having said that, you can do with the money whatever you choose to do. Our plan is for Julie and the financial services team to send out the statements or a notice to students to let you know what your balance owed is, so that you can be alerted to that in case you choose to use the money that you receive to pay down all or a portion of that student account balance that you have, although you're not required to do that. The money is your money. With respect to how we allocate that money on a distribution, we're required by the federal provisions that we will be giving preference to students with the greatest need, which typically are students, who are Pell eligible. And then we look at the expected family contribution. I believe when we awarded last spring, the highest awards were awarded to students with low expected family contribution and Pell eligible. Medium was kind of to Pell eligible, and then we had a dollar amount that went to all students irrespective of their financial situation.
Okay, so also looking at their units too, though?
Yes, a great question again. So, there's an award amount if you're full-time, and then there's a discounted rate if you're 3/4 time, if you're half-time, and if you're less than half-time.
Okay, and all those funds will be depending on those funds will be distributed to Bank Mobile.
Yes, that is the intent. Yep.
Okay.
Cross our fingers, all goes well.
Yeah. Okay. I think so. To go back, so thank you, Tom. And then for Julie, so pretty much to go back to you. Students may not necessarily need to make a payment right now just because we don't even know what financial aid is going to be doing as far as like paying back, or those are completely two separate things. Because Tom, we're going to be getting money from Bank Mobile, and we get the desire to just do what we would want with that.
So I would encourage all of our students to be fiscally responsible.
Yes,
But
I agree.
Some people may need that money for housing or for food or for real, basic necessities. But I would encourage everyone, if they do not need that money for essential necessities, they should pay down or attempt to pay down on their bill, because it will impact their ability to continue with their studies in future semesters.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's just, yes, I agree. Okay, cool. I think that answers my question. Thank you so much for taking that time.
Matthew, welcome to CSUB. And if there's someone that would like to put a link in case Matthew has any follow-up questions on this financial issue, please do so he has someone to support him if there's any follow-up questions.
Honestly, thank you guys so much, because it's been a difficult transition coming from a transfer student. If I may emphasize, the process with getting in contact with your admissions and records and your financial aid department, as someone who's coming from a community college, it was very, very, very difficult. I was like shredding my hair trying to just like get admitted, because I was like, I didn't know about my transcripts, my pending courses. I couldn't hear back. It was like constant just email after email of me just like, hey. So I don't know, maybe in the future, I know that I understand I work for the city of Bakersfield, HR, we're dying. So I understand that departments are understaffed, but if there's any way that you guys could maybe in the future for that, because I had like 5 friends who just gave up. It's just like, I can't. There's just no luck. And so I don't know. There's just my feedback with that.
Thank you for that feedback. I see someone that's taking some really good notes, and that's Dr. Dwayne Cantrell. And Dr. Cantrell, you might want to introduce yourself to Matthew. And again, if Dr. Cantrell just put a contact point for you. But Dr. Cantrell, please say hello to Matthew. And I could tell you were taking notes on everything he was saying.
I'm like trying to look for them.
Hi, Matthew. Welcome to CSUB.
Hi.
Here, and we're at your service. My name is Dwayne Cantrell. I'm the Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management, and I also serve as the Chief Enrollment Officer for the campus. And I'm happy to help with any questions you have regarding anything related to enrollment, financial aid, financial support, student support, anything you need. Please let me know. For the CARES information, I put the email in the chat, and I'll also put in our enrollment email for you as well, just to make sure that your transition to our campus is smooth. So welcome. We're excited that you're here.
Me too. My first time paying tuition, but I mean, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Welcome.
I'm getting a lot of direct messages from other students that are saying that they transferred as well and that they had that same struggle. So I don't know if you're able to see those direct messages. But
thank you. And I know President Vanessa that we also have a representative on ASI for transfer students, and that's another good way to be heard is to make sure and route your feedback to us. President Vanessa, you want to give us feedback on how Matthew can help his friends who've had a challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. I did send you a direct message, Matthew.
Yes.
Yeah, as a transfer student myself, I transferred here in 2018, and I transferred from Fullerton College, so it was hard for me to get to the campus. So I totally hear you. I'm very passionate. I served as director of transfer students for that very reason. So I sent you some information in the chat, and if you can please send me your email as well, and I can connect you to our director of transfer students, and then I myself, whatever you need, I'm here for you. And if you also want to share your email or share the students' emails with me as well, I can do whatever I can.
Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead. Thank you so much, Vanessa.
Thank you.
And Jamie, thank you for the good idea. Also, again, see, we're learning from your amazing, courageous feedback, Matthew. So, Jamie, unmute and please share your tip for Matthew as well.
Thank you, President Zelezny. So, Matthew, I was just recommending that you also utilize CSUB's chatbot. We send messages to your text or to your phone, and our chatbot is also available on all of our CSUB web pages. We have an extensive knowledge base, and so Ask Rowdy will provide you contact information. And if it cannot answer your question, it will escalate your message to a human. And we're really good about getting back to you within 24 hours. Most of our messages are answered within the same day.
Okay, Matthew, we hope you feel our loving embrace here at CSUB. We are glad you persevered, and that makes you a real runner. We are.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Thank you. But those messages are for current students, though, right? So not necessarily for students that are trying to get enrolled. Or
yes, but the website will be able to answer those questions for anyone coming in to CSUB.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your guys' time.
You are welcome. That's why we do this, is to try and smooth the path. I want to go back. I saw a question from Carlos.
Carlos, yes.
Please.
Here we go. Please unmute, Carlos.
Hi, President Zelezny. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Carlos?
Good, good. So I have some students who've been asking me that their professors have been a little bit harder on instruction and lectures, and some of them are saying that they're not providing them with any lecture recordings or just PowerPoints with just pictures, and they feel like it's hindering their education and it's making it very difficult for them to pass the course. And they're asking who can they go to for assistance in that aspect.
So we've got a couple of options for you here. And first, I'm going to go to our provost who oversees academic affairs, who will listen to all of these concerns and take them seriously. Provost Harper?
Sure, absolutely. Well, you always want to start with your faculty member. And so you want to make sure that if you have a desire for an instructional resource, which would, in this case, would be pre-recorded lectures, make sure you articulate that to your faculty members. It's their decision as to whether they want to record their lectures and provide those to students. We've had a lot of conversation over the last 9 months regarding distance learning and how there's the perception and the actual workload increases. As I've talked to the faculty, they've indicated that they're providing the same, in general, the same amount of effort for the courses in which they're providing, but there's clearly the distance learning environment for certain courses can make it seem like they're much harder. But once again, I will circle you back to your faculty member. Make sure you articulate if there's another resource that would be helpful for you to be able to reach your learning objectives in the class. But you can always reach out to me directly, and we'll work with you with your dean and your department chair to make sure that you get the type of score on your class that you want to.
Thank you. I also have one more question. So back to the question about the computer lab, is the computer lab also open for residents or residents of housing? Is that an option?
And I'm going to go back to Faust.
Yes, absolutely. It would be, if you need access to that computer also, as a resident of housing, you have the ability to get a laptop from us. Just email the service center, and then you can use the Wi-Fi within the residence hall.
Thank you so much.
And I really appreciate you sharing this feedback with us, Carlos, because there are many, many professors on this Runner Walk and Talk, and they're putting in information in the chat. So I can guarantee you have professors that do care and are compassionate. I see Professor Danforth is sharing a bit from her perspective, but we want to make sure that we're hearing from you students and that we're doing the best to give you ways of continuing to communicate and also help us with what it is you need to be successful.
Thank you.
President, several students are asking when the next Runner Walk and Talk will be.
Michael Lukens, can you look up my schedule? And we have Runner Walk and Talks monthly. And I will share with you, however, one of the next things that you can tune into is that we do have a President's Forum that is coming up on Thursday, February 11th. That will be directed mostly at the university, but there are opportunities for students to ask questions. That's 9 a.m, and that is also an open forum. And we welcome students to come and hear about our updates on our progress. So you'll hear what we're doing to make progress on our strategic plan and give you updates on what we're working on to benefit students, faculty, and staff here on campus. Michael Lukens, were you able to find that next Runner Walk and Talk that happens next month?
Still looking. We'll find it and get a message out in plenty of time to folks.
All right, thank you very, very much. But look for a Runner Walk and Talk every month. And thanks to ASI, we even did it throughout the summer. So we're here to try to be face-to-face with you. And so you can count on our support. I note our time, and I look forward to seeing many of you at the next Runner Walk and Talk. And we always send out that invitation to all of you. And then please let us know how we can support you. ASI is also sharing that they're here to support you on any issues that might come your way. And
if I could interrupt, it's February 17th at 2:00, the next Runner Walk and Talk.
Thank you, Michael. Would you put that in the chat for students to look forward to? February 17th at 2:00. So we'll look forward to seeing you then. Hey, runners, this has been a really good Runner Walk and Talk. I loved all of your great questions. So we'll look forward to hearing more next month and hope to see you at the President's Open Forum. Thanks to all of you for connecting today. Happy New Year to all. Bye, everyone.